men, children of all ages, producer Kenneth Feld is proud to present the 120th Ringling, BARNUM, and Mayday Circus.
Opposed to Circus, this is from the Sports Federation, and these people are athletes and they're here only to do this exhibition. So it's something that's very different for the circus.
Wushu is an ancient Chinese martial art dating back over 5,000 years. Originally, the weapons you see here were used as a means of protection, then for military sport, and now they take their place in an artistic arsenal used only for competition and entertainment. All of these young people, who range in age from 16 to 24, are already accomplished athletes whose training encompasses not only physical but mental discipline.
Wushu requires concentration of mind. The audience, especially in China, knows a lot about Wushu. They consider Wushu an art. So when you do perform or compete, it requires coordination and a very high technique.
Moves of strength, agility, and grace are treacherous in themselves, but their difficulty is compounded by the presence of this unique aerial rig. Due to its constant rotation, Marina and Alexander must not only resist the pull of gravity, but fight an endless battle with centrifugal force as well. The Marinov were the recipients of the Bronze Trophy at the International Circus Festival of Monte Carlo. Watch as 16-year-old Louisa hangs suspended from Georgi's arms, then feet, and finally by his teeth alone. idea for this unusual aerial act was born 22 years ago and was based on Chinese acrobatics. The moves in this performance were created with one purpose in mind.
Почему? Потому что, в общем-то, выстроена...
When we are working vertically, we are trying to show the audience man's desire to achieve new heights, to fly. At this level, both partners should be working as one. We never use the lunge, the safety wire. We only rely on our strong arms and our cool hands.
The hand balancing routine that I do with Mr. Bones. The one finger and the hand balancing that I do on my forehead. Took about 2 years to teach him to do it.
All the time. I never teach dogs. We learn together. They like to slide, they like to move the ring, they like to push me. They like to play, you know, we go in the stage and we play.
This year, we reversed the process. This year, it's a New York taxi cab, and we're putting 17 clowns inside of the car, so you actually get to watch it load in.
Presenting a 3-ring display of elephant equilibrium. In Ring 1, Kevin Gautier and Barbara Nolan. In Ring 3, Michael Gautier and Natalie Osborne. And in Ring 2, high atop the majestic King Tusk, the Pibal brothers and Catherine Bretz. Born into a circus family, Michael and Kevin Gautier literally grew up around these magnificent animals. This new routine marks the first time the brothers have been a featured act on the greatest show on earth. Kevin Gautier has achieved yet another career milestone, becoming the first performer ever to somersault from the back of one elephant to another. In Guatemala, Nelson and Arturo Pivoral are both accomplished hand balancers.
It's difficult in our countries. It's not so many people doing hand balancing acts, so you're not able to take from somebody else. You know, it's hard to copy. You gotta kind of figure it out by yourself.
Since the brothers normally require solid footing for their act, an extra element of risk is provided by King Tusk. At 14,000 pounds, even when this mighty elephant is standing perfectly still, his back muscles are in constant motion.
As you enter the scene, it begins, things look pretty much normal. Pies are going in on the conveyor belt, they're putting icing on the cake here and there. But of course, soon all mayhem breaks loose as they try to get an order filled quickly for a paying customer.
The lady wants a big cake! Give me the flour, boys! I need flour! Ladies and gentlemen, all of you who have ever dreamed of running away to join the circus, this is your chance.
Okay, these people, we guarantee that he can able to do the act without any problem.
Are you sure you're okay? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of our audience, and the
largest trapeze troupe in the world today. A fifth-generation circus family, the Flying Circus began their touring career in Mexico, a land famed for producing the greatest flyers the circus world has ever known. And now, the legendary triple somersault, attempted by Maricela Vargas, one of an elite group of women in the 122-year history of the greatest show on Earth, to complete this challenging maneuver.
we have what we call gag sessions. We all sit around together, come up with a premise, and then everyone gets to put their input into the pile there, and we bring the best ideas out and try out on the floor. You have to get up on your feet, go out and work it. The things that work best are the things that stay. So you really couldn't put a credit list behind each clown because you'd have to put the entire clown out.
The most important thing any animal trainer should have is sensitivity. If you're very sensitive to the needs of your animals, you will never ask more from them than they can physically or mentally give. I've got 4 young tigers that I've just started working with now. They've been in training for about 5.5 months. It's very important in the initial stages of training to let the animal become comfortable with their surroundings. Each day is a learning experience. When you see an animal do something and respond to something, it's like watching your child walk for the first time. Tigers are endangered and there's a chance it may become extinct. It would be very devastating for me if my children couldn't look at a tiger because I could have prevented them from becoming extinct and didn't do anything to prevent that. Once they're gone, they're gone. They aren't something that can be reproduced. They're like a Michelangelo painting or sculpture. They're one of a kind.
I don't remember when I began to perform on the high wire because I was so small. For me, it wasn't a job. It was like play.
My father and mother were working in the circus, and when I was small, they put me in a special circus school.
For me, my performance is like a play in the theater. I try to express some idea, the idea of our love for our art.
I dreamed about the circus all my life since I was a child. There was no circus in the city where I grew up, and then one day a traveling circus came. And from the moment I saw their performance, I never stopped dreaming. my point of view, I think that we are two men and one girl, and there is a constant competition between us. Who can carry the girl better? Who can make her feel more comfortable on the wire? We are saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. It's like a competition. Most complex and most important trick for me is the purge from a physical and technical point of view. In order to remain on the high wire after the backward somersault, it takes time, training and patience. You can't move an inch to either side.
On the 22nd of November, 1991, a troop of 60 Mongolians arrived at the winter quarters of Ringling Brothers and Barnum & Bailey Circus in Venice, Florida. Among them were acrobats, strongmen, dancers, contortionists, all carrying with them a precious cargo, the culture, heritage, and tradition of the Mongolian people. It was just such a tradition they shared with producer Kenneth Feld in a unique and moving ceremony. As honored guest, he was welcomed with a dance of greeting. Outfitted in sturdy boots, clipped in a traditional robe, and treated to a presentation of traditional folk dances.
The people maintain the tradition. These 2.5 million Mongolians have fought to retain their identity. That's what I want to give to the American people in this year's circus.
thing between
Mongolia, like America, we love children. This dance is especially for them, to show the happiness of children, talking and smiling. I must prepare hard for every show. In the morning, I have to start small. I can't lift anything heavy. It's important to run in the morning. Then I have gymnastics practice, and only after this do I start lifting weights. Exactly 100 kilos, or about 220 pounds. The total weight I support in the finale is 800 kilos, or 1,600 pounds.
direct descendant of the great Genghis Khan, is actually studying to be a lawyer when, one afternoon, he accompanied his friends to the circus.
It's many years, almost 22 years ago. I still remember the impression the horses made on me. When I saw with my own eyes the speed, the power, the grace, I was so excited. I forgot about my career as a lawyer and stayed in the circus forever.
The first part of Kadir Khan's unique act tells a story as old as time.
The horse represents the strength of nature, and what you see is the relationship between man and nature. Man is a little bit wild, and nature won't be tamed. Then comes the woman, and only the woman can tame the horse.
In order to present this act, a new style of ring had to be constructed. This sloped floor enables the horses to gallop at a 45-degree angle, often at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. This young boy is 13 years old and has been training for only 1.5 years. His first performance was here on the 122nd edition of The Greatest Show on Earth.